Hello. Well, the UK's free bus pass scheme has been a vital lifeline for millions of pensioners and people with disabilities. However, this month, October 2025, thanks to Rachel Reeves' mismanagement of this country's finances, just my opinion, there are big changes that could affect you and thousands of people who currently rely on free travel. In this week's programme, we're going to tell you what's changing, who's affected, and how you can prepare. Welcome to Grey Matters. Hello, and welcome to Grey Matters, the channel that promotes the fact that the older generation still matters and has relevance, and which looks at issues that matter to the older generation. Now, do you remember when Rachel Reeves cancelled the winter fuel payments? Yeah, of course you do. And do you remember how after that everyone was saying that our bus passes would be next? I'm sure that many didn't quite believe she would stoop quite that low. But you know what? She has. And the government is claiming it's because they have to save money. Oh yeah, of course they do. Forget the £22 billion black hole, they have a huge black hole of their own to fill. And who are the easiest targets? Well, pensioners and the disabled, of course. Isn't it always the way? Now, the free bus pass scheme provides free bus travel primarily to pensioners and people with disabilities. Usually, it'll be your local county council that operates the scheme. And it helps people in so many ways. I mean, it enables you to maintain your independence, to access healthcare, and to stay connected. And if you currently use the scheme, have you considered how it might affect you if you were to lose your right to use it? Because I reckon it could dramatically alter daily life, especially for those on low incomes. You would face increased travel costs, you could find your mobility reduced, and for some, it could mean maybe fewer doctor's visits or missed social engagements or difficulty attending a job interview or voluntary roles. In some areas, bus fares are relatively affordable, but not everywhere. And if you're a regular bus pass user, have you ever considered budgeting for having to pay your own fares? Very few would, but there's no reason to assume you'd have to. But the reason we're bringing this up now is because there are substantial changes coming this month, that's October 2025, and it's possible that you will lose access to the benefit. Now, the modifications won't be uniform across the whole of the UK, but all will focus, of course, on reducing government spending. And the government claims it intends to relocate some resources to high-need areas. Okay, all well and good. But what if you live in an area that will have some of their existing resources reallocated? What's that going to do for you? Well, in England and Wales, it means possible service reductions in rural areas. Yeah. Whether that means a reduction of actual routes or that some routes will no longer accept bus passes isn't clear. But is it these rural areas that will see parts of their funding relocated? I mean, the mind boggles. Everyone knows that it's the rural areas that are desperately short of public transport as it is. And by inference, it means that it's the cities and large towns where they already have multiple transport options that will benefit from the relocated funding. Whereas pensioners and the disabled in rural areas are again going to be deprived of an essential benefit. Now, currently there are no major cuts planned for Scotland. And as far as we know, the eligibility age of 60 will remain for Scotland and Northern Ireland, whereas that won't be the case in England. And Northern Ireland can also expect fewer pass approvals, apparently due to finance shortfalls. Now, England is going to be hit the hardest, with minimum qualifying age being raised in some regions. Now, I'm aware that assuming it's being raised to the latest retirement pension age, many people don't see that as a problem. It's meant to be for people on a pension after all. And all it will mean is those who are still working at 60 will have to wait longer to qualify for their bus passes. Others say that that's unfair. It's always been applied at 60 years old. You could also face the removal of automatic renewals for certain categories, but what those categories are, we don't know. There may be new income assessments for applicants, so they're going to be means testing what should be an automatic age benefit. Again, I've had comments stating that that's not an issue. It's the same argument that was levied at the winter fuel payments. If you can afford the fares, you shouldn't get them free. But what means testing can miss is that just because the person being tested earns more than whatever threshold the government sets, doesn't mean that they have the available resources for further financial burdens. Regional authorities are going to gain more control over bus pass approval, and in many areas that means there will be no more automatic renewals. And as we've already discussed, many rural areas could face service reductions. And we examined that in a recent video about the risks of not being able to renew your driving licence. Take a look at this edited clip. In August 2023, it was reported that 2,160 bus routes in England have been cut, leaving many communities isolated. In April this year, a report by the Lib Dems announced that over 10,500 bus services had been scrapped between 2019 and 2024. 10,500. That's just phenomenal, isn't it? The .gov website saw the number of bus routes have halved since 2019. It's the equivalent of losing 5 bus routes every day. Let that sink in. 5 bus routes being lost every day. Now, if we think we've got it bad, the Lib Dem reports shows that the West Midlands has been the worst impacted, with a shocking 72% of routes cut. The Transport Committee has called on the government to reform the way that local bus services are funded and adopt a national minimum level of public transport connectivity. The MPs on that committee say that this will protect residents in towns and villages from becoming increasingly isolated. But despite this decline of routes, buses remain the most used form of public transport in the country. The writing was on the wall back then, wasn't it? We kind of knew something was going to happen. But I have to ask, with so many routes decimated, why isn't the government taking up the Transport Committee's proposal to set a minimum level of bus service? Obviously, if they committed to that, they wouldn't be able to make savings at our expense, would they? Now, these changes will result in many current bus pass holders being ineligible or needing to reapply under the new conditions. So going back to the increase in age eligibility, does that mean if you're below the current retirement age and you get a bus pass now, they won't renew it for you until you do reach that age, and you're going to have to wait a few more years to renew? And it's this narrowing of eligibility that's one of the most controversial aspects of these changes. So who is likely to lose out? Well, people turning 60 in England, because the age threshold will be increased, and we're getting to the current retirement age. Individuals in rural areas who will be facing reduced service routes. Some disability pass holders due to tighter medical verification. And they say pensioners with moderate income levels. So what the hell is a moderate income? It wouldn't surprise me if they made bus passes only available to those on pension credits. Now, these changes have led to growing concerns amongst advocacy groups and local communities, and quite understandably. But there's one thing you must absolutely do, and that's to check to see if you're eligible or still eligible. Apparently, the local councils and the government haven't yet updated their online eligibility checkers. So while they dither around, here are some things that you can do. First of all, visit your local council's transport website and check if they've got the details about the changes for your area. If not, do keep an eye on it. Secondly, keep checking the gov.uk eligibility checker so you don't miss the update as and when it comes. Thirdly, call your local council helpline for personalised assistance. And fourthly, ensure that your documents, that's proof of age, address, disability, certification, that kind of thing, are all up to date and ready for re-verification. But okay, what can you do if you lose your free bus pass because you're no longer eligible? Well, there are some alternatives. You might not think they're very satisfactory, but there are alternatives. You can apply for discounted travel cards, for example, the senior rail card and disabled persons rail card. You can use community transport services or dial-a-ride options if they're available in your area. And certainly around here, people speak very highly of the local dial-a-ride service. I'm not sure how it operates, I never used it, but I understand you just phone up and the minibus stops and picks you up. You need to look also for local travel subsidies provided by charities or councils. They're often there, often available, you've just got to locate them. And very importantly, you can always appeal the decision if you believe you were wrongly excluded. You know, we talk about bus passes. Well, I run a creative writing group in the town where I live, and the oldest member is 97 years old, and she's as witty and as funny a writer as she's always been. And until her physical mobility declined, she used to travel all over the country by using a bus pass on local routes, a pleasure and a pastime that is now likely to be removed from thousands of our citizens. Again, it seems to be the pensioners and disabled who are bearing the brunt of Rachel Thieves' mismanagement of the UK's economy and their growing £55 billion black hole. I wish I could wave a magic wand for everyone, but I can't. So I hope the information in this video is going to be useful to you. I have to say that support for Grey Matters is growing daily. We've got another 1,000 new subscriptions this past week. And quite a few of you lovely people have been using the super thanks option that drops a couple of quid my way. That's very much appreciated. Thank you. In respect of our challenge to the DVLA and motor insurance trade, lots of suggestions came in that we should launch a fundraiser to help pay for any legal expenses. And that follows last week's edition in which we drew up the battle plan to take them on. However, unfortunately, it's illegal to fundraise online for legal expenses. But to be honest, I don't expect any. Hopefully my only expenses will be some postage and my time. Now, several people have asked for the template letter to MPs, but I guess they missed the part where I explained we need to hear back from the DVLA. We need their responses to our freedom of information requests before that letter can be written. Rest assured, it will be available to you when the time is right. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet done so, and hit that bell to be kept informed of when our videos drop. And don't forget your comments. We love them. We do try to read everyone. Some are funny, some are heartbreaking, some are very informative, and others just having a good old rant. Whatever you want to comment, let's have it. We always love to read them. In the meantime, thank you for joining us. We do appreciate your company. And until the next time on Grey Matters, it's bye for now.